DSOD data released in June 2021 contain a composite of data collected in 2020, produced by various research institutions, most notably Varieties of Democracy, or VDEM, based at the University of Gothenburg in Sweden. The 2020 data used in my presentation might seem old, but do note 2021 data have only been released by various research institutions over the past several weeks. As a collection of composite indices, our DSOD indices require some time for collating before they are released. Next. I'm starting with one slide showing that the world is increasingly becoming authoritarian. You see how the reds are much taller than the greens at the end of the spectrum there. Since 2016, the number of countries moving in the direction of authoritarianism is 3 times the number moving towards democracy. The other notable peak towards authoritarianism was in 2009 in the wake of the global financial crisis. Next slide, please. So how about Asia and the Pacific? Perhaps needless yet important to say, the region is defined by its immense diversity in terms of regime type. Some of the most enduring authoritarian countries and some of the best performing democracies in the world are part of this vast region. The region has its distinct sub-regions, from the nearly authoritarian Central Asia, as you can see from the graph, and to the democratic Oceania. We observe that the regional tendency in Asia is unfortunately towards deepening and growing autocratization, as well as erosion of democracy. In our Asia and the Pacific regional report, we cover 32 countries, so not the entire region is included, leaving many of the Pacific Island countries out due to lack of data, which is something we are trying to address in the coming reports. In terms of democratic development, between 2000 and 2020, democracies have always outnumbered authoritarian and hybrid regimes. Since then, dramatic democratic reversals have taken place in Myanmar, Afghanistan, and Hong Kong. Please note that the category of hybrid regimes, can you bring back to the, yes, thank you. Please note that the category of hybrid regimes where countries have elements of competitive elections but do not fulfill the criteria for democracy is a persistent one. It has not served as a stepping stone towards democracy, though with some positive exceptions like Malaysia in 2018 and Sri Lanka in 2015. Next slide, please. Both progress towards and retreats from democracy were found across Asia and the Pacific. A continuation of severe decline in democracy was recorded in Indonesia, Sri Lanka, India, and the Philippines. And in these last two, India and the Philippines, the decline was amounting to what we call democratic backsliding. That is the gradual dismantling of democratic building blocks from within the system. Despite of that, it may be worth mentioning that amongst the world's top 10 decliners, none were from this region. On the other side, several advances were also present. Progress towards democracy took place in Papua New Guinea, Taiwan, Republic of Korea, and Malaysia, to mention a few. Advances have taken place also in the authoritarian countries, indicating that these, even seemingly intractable, authoritarian regimes are not static, thus emphasizing the importance of supporting the emerging voices for democracy in these contexts. However, according to Varieties of Democracy VDEM 2021 data, just released earlier this month, the negative trend actually continues within Asia and the Pacific with Asia and the Pacific named as one of the worst hit regions. Attacks on institutions central to the integrity of democracies, i.e. parliaments, the judiciary, and the media, already presented a significant challenge well before the pandemic. Between 2015 and 2020, the biggest decliners in checks on government attribute, which includes the independent judiciary sub-attribute relevant to this forum, were the Philippines, Sri Lanka, and Cambodia, followed by Nepal, Vietnam, Kyrgyzstan, and India. The positive outliers, as you can see by way of the direction of the arrow in the graph, were Uzbekistan, Thailand, the Republic of Korea, as well as Malaysia, and was Myanmar. Over the same 2015-2020 period, scores on fundamental rights, which includes access to justice sub-attribute relevant to this forum, have remained relatively stable in the Asian Pacific region. The most significant declines had taken place in Indonesia, followed by Cambodia, India, and the Philippines. Also, no country escaped the difficult balancing act of individual versus collective rights. And all countries of the region imposed some restrictions on movement thanks to the pandemic. Furthermore, it was under this fundamental rights attribute where some of the biggest future worries lie. International idea found rising ethno-nationalism and intensified xenophobia exacerbated by the stress of the pandemic, undermining pluralism and increasing polarization. For example, here in Indonesia, freedom of religion is at its all-time low since 1975.
Beragama
Tendency could also be found in many other countries.
agak
the growing
menurun.
reliance on emergency legislation to deal with the pandemic gave a certain normalcy to harsh policy measures. Reversing this normalcy and militarization or securitization of politics will require a democratic pushback. Thirdly, in a number of countries in the region, democratization has not served as an antidote to corruption. Even when the other aspects of democracy may have improved, absence of corruption has prevailed or worsened over the last 45 years.
Beberapa negara masih menunjukkan tingkat korupsi yang masih tinggi.
No doubt, resourceful authoritarian countries also pose a challenge to democracies. China has continued to grow its influence in the region and beyond, while
Cina masih menunjukkan ke pengaruhnya di wilayah ini.
In our report, we also discussed
Dalam laporan kami juga membahas
their abandoning
potensi
annual limitation in China. And as you know, this is a
kemampuan Cina.
as well at the moment.
Dan ini juga merupakan topik yang dibahas di Indonesia.
One more minute, thank you.
Yeah, 2 more slides, thanks. So what about the pandemic's impact on democracy in Asia and Pacific? It has
Jadi apa
democratic divide, magnifying
akibat pandemi terhadap demokrasi di region ini?
I will end on a positive note. Still, there is outstanding resilience. Many countries of the region were able to
Tetap pada
manage the pandemic
ketahanan
while
yang
also respecting basic democratic principles and freedoms.
walaupun masih
Came up
pada
with
situasi pandemi,
institutional and electoral innovations to manage the crisis.
kita tetap harus
Such
meningkatkan
countries were Australia,
inovasi
Mongolia, New Zealand, and
dan
the Republic of Korea, as well as Taiwan. The role of opposition was cared for in New Zealand. In Australia, the National Cabinet ensured coordination between federal and state levels. In Nepal, the local governments took charge of service delivery in gender-sensitive manner, and so on. Taiwan was leading the innovations on how to use technology.
memimpin pada inovasi teknologi
This is extremely important to note also in view
untuk
of future unknown
melawan
disruptions.
berita-berita
Our
bohong.
demands for democratic freedom and political reform were not deterred, with protests seen in Hong Kong, India, Myanmar, the Philippines, and Thailand, among other places, even in the face of severe risks and the brutal use of force to repress them. Please go ahead and read our report if you haven't already.
Silakan membaca laporan ini jika Anda ingin melihat lebih banyak data dan analisis kami yang bisa dapat dibaca dari website dan scan QR. Terima kasih atas perhatian Anda.
Thank you, Adi, for excellent presentations. Now we go to the Ichal for the second presentations, please.
Terima kasih Adi untuk presentasi pertama. Sekarang kami lanjut ke kedua. Terima kasih Ketua. Apresiasi kami PNEJ ini
honorable forums, honorable judges, and electoral justice expert globally. I'm humbly honored to be here. I guess
terima kasih kepada para delegasi yang berhormat di sini.
voices, the thoughts of civil society organizations that I lead, Asia Democracy Networks, where I think I would like to invite my presentation to be loaded because my presentation should be reflected in the PowerPoint presentation. Anyway, to start my presentation to be
Presentasi saya seharusnya ada PowerPoint-nya.
Okay. So this is I've been assigned to assess or to
Saya pernah ditugaskan
Asian nations countries that I counted will be 10 plus 1
di negara-negara Asia Tenggara.
Reflections of the China and Taiwan. Although my colleagues there coming from Taiwan that maybe
di Vietnam dan Taiwan.
More appropriately describe about Taiwan. But let me start with
Ada teman-teman dari Thailand dan dia akan menjelaskan lebih tentang Thailand. Saya akan menjelaskan mengenai Asia Demokrasi Network, di mana ini adalah payung organisasi dari jaringan-jaringan regional di lintas Asia. Asesmennya ada yang ini termasuk mencakup penelitian di seluruh Asia. Ini adalah indeks data demokrasi di Asia Tenggara yang kami cakup dari 2013 sampai 2021. Kami dapat melihat bagaimana proses dan naik turunnya demokrasi konstitusi dari Indonesia, Malaysia, Filipina, Thailand, Myanmar, Kamboja, Laos, Vietnam, Singapura, Timor Leste, dan Brunei Darussalam. Dan Anda akan lihat sayangnya negara demokrasi termuda justru yang memimpin di wilayah ini. Sisanya yang sudah berpengalaman, yang sudah dijelaskan oleh Pak Adi Aman, karena pandemi jadi agak berkurang. Jadi ini yang kami nilai ada pembangunan, ada perkembangan yang menyedihkan. Kami highlight sedikit bahwa di Kamboja pemilu, kemudian kebebasan sipil dan itu dikontrol.
Categorizing under control. There is no competitive election in Cambodia.
Kemudian pengaruh liberal
No
juga
single party or created associated with the government
dikendalikan.
political parties. And then we categorizing civic space under control where the governments are very associated or allies with the liberal powers. Same cases like Myanmar, we
Hal yang sama di Myanmar, di mana kami menyaksikan
military junta try to
di mana junta militer Myanmar ingin membentuk pemilu untuk melegitimasi kekuasaan mereka.
Many international actors does not understand if the whole civil society in Asia, including the opposition and national unity government,
Banyak masyarakat sipil
or any effort to establishing the elections. So I humbly request in this forum to lobby.
Jadi di dalam forum ini kami harap
do not ever thinking any program discussing election with the military junta in Myanmar.
Jangan pernah membahas pemilu di junta militer Myanmar.
In Indonesia, of course, we are seeing potential obstruction.
Di Indonesia kita melihat ada semacam potensi kerusakan pada realisasi pemilu. Kemudian di
Philippines, they are on the way for the election in May. The results we expecting can bring
kebebasan sipil ada
I am going to highlight number 8.
peningkatan situasi.
That right now the electoral cycle
Begitu di Filipina walaupun di periodisasi pemilunya yang stabil,
where civic space is suppressed. Many activists exiling now in different countries, mostly in Europe, Canada, and Australia, to avoid persecution. There's almost no voices of civil society in Hong Kong because
hampir ada banyak persekusi di Hong Kong. Bahkan tidak ada stabilitas pemilu di sana. Kemudian kebebasan sipilnya juga dikekang. Namun stabil, kebebasan sipilnya vibrant.
There are increasingly authoritarian practices and regimes in our neighborhoods. Expedite this. We recently have a hope when Joe Biden's
kami punya harapan tinggi ketika Joe Biden memimpin pertemuan demokrasi di tahun 2021 Desember 2021.
Claiming different style of democracy in the largest state in the world with 1.6 billion populations.
Di mana Amerika adalah negara demokrasi terbesar di dunia.
We facing a two narrative of democracy based on different versions. So I think there is a asserts that it is a democracy is falsified by this country treatment of its own people, from the crackdown on free speech in Hong Kong, the repression of Uyghur and Tibetans, as coming.
Recording in progress.
First is the advancement of the illiberal influence that utilize social, economic, political, and security aspect, while a major democratic player like India with 1.3 billion populations and many giant economic is stand idle to the internal problems. Number two, there's an increased suppression of the civic space and freedom of expressions through draconian law. I think every
Recording in
actors are
progress.
also increasingly being weakened by many kind of drive-ins or efforts in different platforms. And realizing and we accepting or not, electoral is becoming more vulnerable. It has been utilized as an entrance to legitimize a bad leader. I think the intentions of the elections is to make or to prolong or to upholding democratic practices, but very often the process has been utilizing to be, to winning.
One more minute, please.
To legitimizing the bad leaders. And of course, we also recognize the increasing driven disinformation. So in this very honor forums, I would like to appeal. We have evidence if the election has been used, has been dominating, and has been creating in order to legitimizing a bad leader. So I think it is all our role here as the electoral justice actors and then civil democratic election actors to keep pushing hard to protect every single electoral justice processes in order to create or to still sustain or even build resilience among the democratic election actors. I stop from there and then thank you very much for the opportunity. I don't intend to offend or to, disrespect this very honorable forums, but I use my liberty as a civil society actor to express, to make a narrative or articulations that I believe it will be resounding to every tables and every heart. And then I believe it's happened in your continent or maybe even happen in your countries. So I think this is very good opportunity to start talking together how we're dealing with our own, to protect this democratic election. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Richard, for the presentations. Now we go to Mr. Chandani.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Fritz, and also that all the friends from those who are in Bali. I missed the chance to meet you guys, but I feel like I'm some way connecting you, even though the communication online way. I share with my presentation. If somebody can help me to share, that I'm happy. By the time that the Honorable Chair and also the Honorable guest, good morning to all of you. Thanks so much for Bawaslu for organizing the important event and bringing election stakeholders to discuss trends and challenges of electoral justice. I think this is timely needed discussion and also inviting ANPL to share the present democracy situation in Asia, especially organizers asked me to cover South Asian region democratic situation. I'm happy to do that. By the time I'm happy to cover some of the trends in Southeast Asia, specifically focus on Cambodia and Myanmar. can I wait for the presentation or can I go ahead? I'm happy that even without presentation to carry on, there's no problem. If it is a technical. Asian Network of Free Election is the regional based organization who is working for free, fair, democratic elections through the various activities like election observation, capacity building, and advocacy. ANPAL is closely working with the like-minded civil society across Asia as our members, partners for promoting democracy in Asia, almost like 25 years. And I'm happy that Bawaslu is even though that is the election management body, we are very close with Bawaslu and KPU in Indonesia. Also some EMPs who are who promoting the democracy in their own countries and also the supporting for the other countries in the region. We believe that the threat to democracy is very high compared to the previous time. Therefore, our active engagement is very much needed. Good sign is still there are many groups are willing to work for democracy. This forum is one of the positive sign. And of course, that my previous the speakers, my good friends, Adi Aman from International IDEA, Ichal Supriya Adi from ADN, they already highlighted the most trends and also challenges and our responsibilities towards promoting democracy in Asia. Thank you for those guys also that highlighting those trends that is much needed to highlight for this international forum. Okay, please go back to the first slide, please. Yeah, first slide. First one. Go to the first one. Okay, I actually took specifically select this picture. I want to highlight that in Asia, basically, democracy is under attack. This actually the picture was from our ANPAL report on the Myanmar 2020 elections. And this cover page is showing that not only Myanmar, most of the Asian countries having the attack and also the challenges in their own democracies. Okay, please go to the second slide. The second slide is I prefer that when we look at the index for the democracy, when I look at that, I prefer that BDEM or that the various democratic liberal index that is given when we look at that index, that most of the Asian countries are very low in democracy. And I think that giving indication, we have to do more. And when we go back to the specific countries in Asia, I would like to highlight what are the major trends or the challenges in Asian democracy. Please go to the third slide. Yeah, third slide is very highlighting that democracy in danger. And what are the common factors that we can identify that when we look at the danger? Military governments, most of the military government like Myanmar, even Thailand, they are moving to the democracy, but there are a lot to do for the democratic. Authoritarian government like Cambodia and Sri Lanka, India. I also want to highlight India also one of the authoritarian government. Increasing the dictatorships, that is so the same countries that dictatorship carry on so many years, like Bangladesh, India, and Sri Lanka is the most maybe highlighted countries in South Asia. Demolished or no powerful, that is connecting to each other when we describing the characters of the democracy. Demolished or no powerful opposition, weak opposition, higher corruption, delaying justice, undemocratic laws, constitution as well as constitution is not democratic constitution. digital security laws or the undemocratic laws, shrink in the civil society, inclusive elections in political participation. There's no space for the vulnerable group to participate, including the women participation or the PW, people with the disabilities. Finally, that is a fragile democracy. There's no strong democratic countries in most of the Asian countries. Please go to the third slide. The next one. Yeah, in that the South Asia, there are 8 countries in the South Asia. No, that is like one of the, maybe like we can highlight like India is the South Asia big brother or the policeman of South Asia. Pakistan, second strong country, Nepal, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Maldives, Afghanistan, and Sri Lanka. The legitimacy of any democratic government lies in the execution of free and fair elections, process wherein all the interested parties can participate in eligible voters can exercise their vote freely. However, that when you look at that the Asian, like especially that Afghanistan, what happened to Afghanistan? ANPL have been working for long years for Afghanistan for sustainable democracy, and it is not only ANPL, we have witnessed to the civil society how they work, how they sacrifice their lives to bring the democracy. But it is suddenly it's changed. Last August 15, Taliban took over the power of Afghanistan. Now the people of Afghanistan, especially civil society, are in a very vulnerable situation. Maybe like in this forum, I like to highlight, I know that Adrian also working very much hard to that bring like the democracy or the like urgent support for these people. They are inside Afghanistan, hiding their places. They are looking forward to go out, as well as their basic needed like daily lives, daily needs are very much abandoned in many ways. I think this is the forum to think about these people also, that how we can also that bring back the democracy, as well as the think about the people who work for promote democracy for many years. Next slide. Bangladesh. This is, I think Bangladesh is the one of the worst country in Asia. Almost like the 17 years, the one political party, one leadership is carrying the power. Since 2018, the Sheikh Hasina government, Bangladeshi Awami government, and Khalida Zia is the major opposition, was under arrest. Now she was released, but she was not allowed to go out from that. The humanitarian base, like after 40 years, she was released. And like our ANPL member organization, ODICA, is one of the prominent organization work for human rights and also the work for the democracy. They were seized their activities, they seized their funds, and they were trying to arrest and with some bogus charges against the civil society activists. This is happening in Bangladesh. In that, when we look at the Bangladesh, we can highlight few things: violation of the right of the freedom of peaceful assembly, the exercise use of force against the peaceful protesters calling for reform for quota system, and also that Bangladesh, that there's no freedom of expression, there's no civil society engagement, and there is no political party engagement. Totally, there's no civic engagement, including the political participation, for almost 17 years. And ANPL has been trying to go for the last election. They were denied, and they were not allowed the international actors to come and see and also to play the role. 2018 election, we were not allowed to go also. This is like the pathetic situation in most of the Asian countries, including the Bangladesh. And them report actually that they come out like they are according to their index is like a Bangladesh is like a one of the worst country, and also that it is ranked 154 out of the 170 countries in liberal democracy index. And also this is the similar situation when we go to the India, but the India is like a different way of activism for democracy under attack. Modi government, we can go to the next slide, please. Yeah, Modi government, that is like India is like a playing different role. Not only the India, they are playing in like a regional way of the democracy also, that undermining. They are Bangladesh, in Sri Lanka, Maldives, they are like a majorly, previously that Nepal also, they try to undermine differently in Modi under the Modi government. Media freedom, political participation, crackdown of the political participation, religion and ethnic minority, CSO, the crackdowning, academics, regional politics, everything is like a Modi is playing very like a prominent role for crackdown in the democracy in Asia, the Southeast Asia. These are the major countries I would like to highlight, but many countries we can highlight under the Southeast Asia. When we like, I think that as ANFL work for Southeast Asia, our responsibility is to talk about Myanmar, some part, and as well as that Cambodia also. Please go to the next slide.
Chandani,
Yeah.
one moment.
Okay. One moment. Okay. This is Sri Lankan situation, but I'm not touching the Sri Lankan situation. I'm going to that Southeast Asia, Myanmar and Cambodia. Myanmar is like a 2020 election, and according to the ANFL that we have been observing the elections, 2020 general election, we saw it is like a free elections, even though military is telling is there is a fraud in Myanmar, but however it is not for, there are errors because it's come from the overall constitution is not democratic constitution. It is constitution is giving 25% for the military government. In that sense that it is, how can we expect that free fair elections in that country? That's why we are telling, and we already released our report. I'm inviting you guys to read our report. And when we look at the Cambodia also, the Cambodia is going for the local and communal election in June 5 without the major opposition, without civil society activism. And also some of them are arrested, some of them are exiled, major political party leaders. With that, they are going for the elections. And we are hoping to release our pre-election assessment report very soon. Maybe we will share with you with the Bawaslu, and maybe Bawaslu can share with other friends. Last, my slide, please go to the last slide. Last one. Finally, I would like to urge from our international community, especially from the Indonesian friends, break the silence. That is the first thing we need to do. That is our responsibility. The second one is prompt action for enhanced electoral justice. And I think next year for Indonesia is a special year because you are the one who heading the ASEAN leadership. I think that may be like an opportunity for most of the Asian countries or the ASEAN countries to get support, and also that advocacy, solidarity from the Indonesian government. That is our annual urge from the Indonesian friends and also the global friends. And finally, HR already mentioned about that the Myanmar, and the same time I'm also would like to highlight about the Myanmar. Please don't accept the military junta appointed election management body. Don't invite for any of the occasion, any of the activities, and also that until the Myanmar is going towards and also the showing there for the democratic space. Thank you very much, and also that look forward to hear any questions or any clarification. I'm happy to give my response. Thank you and all the best for the organizers.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Chandani, for on time and sharing your broad experience about the whole region in the Asia. And there are some topics that we explore more. But before that, I give the opportunity to the floor for question and answer. Is there anything you want to add between Adi and Iqbal to respond to other presentations? You may do so if Adi or Richard want to have the counter argument or want to add something. Adi?
I think there's no need to counter because all three presentations are showing the same trend. We're just using different angles and different levels of detail. You know.
Okay.
So, but we'd love to hear from the others. Though.
Iqbal, you want to add something with regard to Chandani presentation or Adi presentation? Even though Adi already said that the whole trend almost the same between the Pacific and also the Asia region.
Our observation indicates similar symptom. If this is a disease, symptom is similar, but the medicine, the cure are different, and the approach are different. One thing that I want to highlight, the last is, we seems fighting in silos. We don't together as a unity, which is it should be. Every component should work as unity. So the electoral group should join with human rights groups and should join with the civic space groups. Then we can make a big wave in order to push back the disease. So I think it's not the time for us to talk about what are theory, but I guess we agree. Our three presentation indicate a different, similar symptoms. Then we need to find the cure together. Thank you.
Do you want to add something?
¿Quieres preguntar algo?
That Adi and Iqbal or
Yeah, sorry that I think that is some technical errors that I cannot hear properly. Maybe like what I hear from that Commissioner Fritz that you want to like maybe highlight any specific things from the Iqbal presentation or the Adiaman presentation. I think that they already highlighted most of the things. That one of the thing is that we have to understand
Ellos ya han
that
resaltado la mayor parte de las
democratic
presentación.
threats the attacks are very heavy, and also that it is coming from the most of the powerful government, powerful regimes. In that sense, that we need to find a most powerful strategies to overcome or the fighting for the pushback to the democracy. That is, I think, that is ample the span, and it is like we think we need to work more, and we need to work with the solidarity with other groups, and also that especially when we work for that, we need to have a fact and figures to work for pushback democracy.
Thank you very much. So I give the floor. Yes, Adi.
Yeah, I would just like to echo what each of us said. Work together, and international idea has as early as 2020 actually number of like-minded institutions as well in calling the world to work together, and the call was the call to defend democracy. And we're currently working with those institutions as well today to put out another call in the near future.
Thank you, Adi. And now I give the floor to share your experience. And for this forum, we also try to invite other court to participate in sign that we want to discuss about the electoral justice, but we have other expressions what happened in Asia. Yes, Justice, you want to ask a question? Is there anyone want to have a discussion or have a question? What happened, or want to share your opinion about the current state of democracy in Asia, or want to clarify, give opportunity? Any question? In Zoom, is there any question from the Zoom? No question and response? Yes. Yes. Ibu Titi, go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tiang Graini. I'm from a local NGO based in Jakarta, Association for Election and Democracy. Actually, Ichal already raised my concern about working together among the international community and also among the election and democracy stakeholders in each country. But I have a specific question related to our event since we attended Global Justice Network on Electoral Justice. I mean, what can be done by Global Network on Electoral Justice and also domestic electoral justice organization to counter the threats to democracy? For instance, in Indonesia, although Indonesian democracy is categorized as flawed democracy, but democracy scores increase from position 64 to position 52. One of the contributor of this increasing score, because the Constitutional Court ruling on labor law that decided that the labor law is inconstitutional, and then giving instruction to the government to revise the law. But not all the the work of Constitutional Court meeting the needs to have a democratic ruling like what they decided on the labor law. I need your enlightenment. What kind of the concrete action can be done by Global Network on Electoral Justice and also the domestic electoral justice organization like Bawaslu to counter all the threats as speakers mentioned earlier. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ibu Titi. Ibu Titi is senior advisor and also board of the trust of the NGO that focus in the elections, and also Ibu Titi also the IDEA Democracy Ambassador for 2017. And that's why I think I have to put my head not as the moderator, but to want to respond a bit. I think this is why the global network try to move and brave enough to transfer the presidency from South America to Asia, because we see this the trend, and also of course of the global network, we want to have the electoral justice working, and the activities about the electoral justice is more present in Asia regional level. Of course, we understand there is some obstacles and some resistance, but that's why that we would like to have the presence of the electoral justice in Asia. But if the Philips or Alberto want to respond, please do so.
Thank you, Chair. It's as you mentioned, the Global Network on Electoral Justice is now 5 years old. It all started as an effort to bring together constitutional courts, electoral management bodies that deal with electoral disputes and experts from around the world, primarily to share their experiences in how electoral justice works on the different models and how the shared challenges that we face can find also shared solutions. And as I heard the panelists talk about the challenges regionally, I can see that there are some trends around the world that are similar to a certain extent. Of course, in different levels and they through different mechanisms. But this network has helped so far to understand the dynamics of those threats and how judges can work together and learn from each other to find solutions to those specific threats. I think this has been reasonably successful so far because now we are aware of rulings on how the misuse of social media can lead to undermining democracies and how judges can act on it because they are aware of what their peers are doing around the world. We have noticed that there's also a learning process around, for instance, gender equality and on the representation of certain groups in different societies. And we believe that this has helped to bring together a community of electoral justice experts, judges, and also from the international community. What we hope is that under the leadership of Indonesia now, we will strengthen the global character of the network. And so far, I think this is a great opportunity to talk together and about these challenges, not only the specific authoritarian trends that we've heard about in previous presentations, but also about other similar threats to our democracies and to electoral justice at large. The Varieties of Democracy Project has done a great work. International IDEA has done a great work as well in putting together data to understand this. And I think it's a great opportunity to learn about these trends and best practices around the world. We very much look forward to Indonesian leadership for the rest of their presidency and to help them also find those best practices and share them with the international community. I think that would be the main objective and the main achievements of the global network.
Thank you, Alberto.
Yeah, thank you. I take at mind the words of Alberto Guevara, our technical secretary and general secretary of the global network, and just wanted to add that it's very important for the democracy in the world that we put together our methodologies, our ways to judge and analyze the elections all over the world. There are different methods, there are different practices, but I would say there is only one way to strengthen the democracy, even if there are different practices. And that's the objective of the network, to put together this method and these practices. We also have a platform on website which offers different cases, and you are all invited to suggest cases, to provide cases on the platform so that can be translated, then can be shared for all the judges in the world, for all the members of the network. It is also the role and the competence of the scientific committee of the network to be not vigilant, but to maintain a continuity over these all different cases, all different practices from all the 4 or 5 continents members of the network. And we are we pay a real attention to have every time the different main points, the different main problems that we have to discuss: gender equality, illiberalism, fake news, digital, and all challenges of the democracy that has to be discussed together. And it's also my duty to maintain this scientific committee with a global view that we have also in this scientific committee members from all over the world. And that's why I'm also very happy to be here in Asia, to be here in Indonesia, to have debates on comparative electoral justice and share experiences with people from another part of the world than Europe or America. Thank you again.
I think if there is no more comments, yes, Adi, please.
Thank you. Chandani would like to speak as well. Just responding to what Titi called for, I think in addition to Ichal's call to work together at a global level, which is macro, at a micro level, I think every sector can also work together in looking after their own issues within their sectors. And in our sector today, which is electoral justice, we can use data that's in front of us. For example, in our data, speaking of autocratization, then judicial independence is very much connected. And looking at the data, we should show you the map. Cameraman's not there. There's still a lot of reds and yellows, and the greens are actually very much limited to advanced democracies in Europe, Australia, New Zealand, and Northern America. So there's a lot of work to be done for us together. And this is certainly some kind of a homework that the Global Network on Electoral Justice can do.
Okay, thank you. And the last comment is from Chandani. Please take a shot, Chandani.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair. And I feel like this is, I think, global network for free the electoral justice. This is, I think, this is the opportunity. What is the possibility of that maybe end of the day, maybe tomorrow releasing some statement or something like that as all the participants to underline in the some of the trends and also the some of the like a potential ways to overcome. Maybe I'm not sure that maybe it's better that maybe we are and we're also happy to sign that if that kind of document is coming up.
Thank you very much, Chandani. Can we give applause to Chandani and Adi and Ical? Thank you for the presentations, and we lot of that as the global network and can start to discuss several challenges that we're gonna have in Asia that we can do. And we're gonna have a break until 11 o'clock, and the tea and the coffee will be served to you. But before we go to break, I realized that we haven't introduced ourselves. So can I ask, not need to stand, but I think you just turn on the microphone and just say name and your countries and which organization you are coming from. So, Pak Abhan, or from Pak Afifuddin first. And after that, we are going to the left. Yes. So at least, we already say hello to one and another.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Fritz. Morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name Muhammad Afifuddin, one of Commissioner of Bawaslu Republik Indonesia. No more than 2 weeks, we'll replace from Bawaslu because I will move to KPU, Commissioner of KPU. Thank you very much for coming. Enjoy Bali, enjoy the conference. Thank you.
The KPU is the National Election Commission. Yes. Pak Afan? And my name is Fritz. I'm from Bawaslu.
Terima kasih. Selamat siang. Nama saya Ratna Dewi Petalolo. Saya anggota Bawaslu Republik Indonesia, Koordinator Divisi Penanganan Pelanggaran. Terima kasih.
Buenos días. Mi nombre es Alberto Guevara Castro, secretario general de la Red Mundial de Justicia Electoral. Muchas gracias por su...
Bonjour. Je suis le professeur Jean-Philippe de Rosier. I'm Professor Jean-Philippe de Rosier from the University of Lille, en France, in France. And je suis le président du comité scientifique du réseau mondial de justice électorale. I am the president of the scientific committee of the global network for electoral justice.
Good morning, everyone, colleagues. Boise Mba, Justice Mba, currently a judge in the Supreme Court of Appeal of South Africa, also the chairperson of the Electoral Court of South Africa. My other head, being here as Vice President of the Global NEC Africa region. Thank you.
Good morning, all. My name is Regina Waugh, and I am the Senior Global Gender Advisor at IFIS, the International Foundation for Electoral Systems, and I'm joining from the United States.
My name is Adiaman. I'm from Indonesia. I'm here representing the International Institute for Democracy and Electoral Assistance, or IDEA.
Thank you so much. My name is Andi Tendrisompa. I come from Banjarmasin and I consent in Center for Election and Political Party. Thank you so much.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Saya Puadi, komisioner terpilih tahun 2022-2027. Saya dari Jakarta. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih. Selamat pagi.
Selamat pagi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Saya Toto Aryono, sama dengan kawan saya Bu Adi dan Pak Erwin, Bawaslu ke depan. Terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
So Mr. Puadi, Mr. Erwin, and Mr. Toto is the next Bawaslu for 2022 and the 2027.
Morning, my name is Titi Anggraini. I'm advisory board member of Association for Election and Democracy and also member of Electoral, partner of ADN. I'm very happy to be here because it's like a reunion for me. I work together with Mr. Fritz and Pak Adi Aman for Election Supervisory Committee for election in 1999. So it's already 22 years more. Thank you.
We are old. Yeah, thanks. Yes, please.
Good morning. My name is Aditya Perdana. I'm the director of the Center for Political Studies, University of Indonesia, and I also associate professor at the Department of Political Science, University of Indonesia. Thank you.
morning. My name is Ferry Amsari. I'm currently the director for the Center for Constitution Studies in Andalas University. Thank you.
Selamat pagi semuanya. Perkenalkan saya Loli Suhenti, Bawaslu periode 2022-2027, saat ini masih menjadi Bawaslu di Provinsi Jawa Barat.
Mrs. Loli is also the next Bawaslu for the next term for 2022 until 2027. Because the Bawaslu is for 5 years, we gonna retire next week and will be replaced by them. Yes.
Hi again, Ichal Supriyadi from Indonesia, based in Seoul, South Korea, from the Asia Democracy Network.
Okay, thank you. My name is Ferry Dautliando. I'm from a small city in this country. And thank you, Bawaslu, for inviting me for this forum. Thank you very much.
Good morning to all. My name is Michael Freitas Moalen, or you can call me also Michael. I am from Brazil and a current member of the scientific committee, the Global Network on Electoral Justice, together with the leadership of Jean-Philippe. And I'm also a law professor at the Catholic University of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Thank you.
大家早安 I'm from Taiwan. I'm represent CCW Citizen Congress Watch, or a civil organization in Taiwan. Thank you for Bawaslu invite me to this conference. I hope more and more people, more and more country can focus on China influence, because Taiwan is the most I won't say the interference, but the most dangerous situation, I think, in Asia. Yes, thank you.
Good morning. My name is Dong. I'm originally from Vietnam, but I was based for many years in Paris, and now I reside in Mexico as an international export consultant. I have the privilege to be associated to the work with the Mexican electoral authorities and the Tribunal of Mexico. So that's for the last few years.
Buenos días, mi nombre es María Mercedes Delgado López, formo parte del Gabinete Técnico del Tribunal Supremo de España y también miembro como vicepresidencia que ocupa España en la Red Mundial de Justicia Electoral. Encantada de estar con vosotros y muy agradecida a Bawaslu, ¿no?, por la invitación a este evento tan agradable y tan importante. Muchas gracias.
Buenos días. Encantadísimo de estar con todos ustedes de nuevo en este foro que creo que se caracteriza por dos virtudes muy importantes. Una primera es la amistad e incluso diría yo el cariño que se percibe en este colectivo de la Red Mundial de Justicia Electoral. Y uno segundo, importantísimo también, es el interés que creo que se detecta en todos nosotros por conseguir un proceso electoral justo e igualitario para todas las candidaturas, sin límite alguno. Soy magistrado del Tribunal Supremo de España y en algún momento he tenido la responsabilidad de presidir el Tribunal Superior de Justicia Electoral, denominado en España Junta Electoral Central. Es muy importante trabajar por la consolidación de ese proceso electoral justo, democrático e igualitario. Todos los esfuerzos que hagamos deben ser bien recibidos. En todo caso, muchas gracias por estar cerca de mí. Gracias.
Thank you, Justice. Yes.
Morning, everyone. My name is Gunawan Suswantoro, Secretary General on Bawaslu. Thank you.
Yes, sorry to take the floor again, but I also want to introduce Justice Monica Soto, who is currently in public session at the Electoral Tribunal of Mexico, solving very relevant cases Mexican democracy. She will join us shortly, but I didn't want to miss the opportunity to introduce her since Mexico is one of the founding members of the list. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alberto. Pak Mr.
Saya Ferdinand, di administrasi pada Bawaslu.
Terima kasih. Thank you. And the last one, Mr. Afhan.
Terima kasih, Pak Kris. Saya Afhan, Ketua Bawaslu Indonesia periode 2017-2022 yang akan mengakhiri sebentar lagi pada 11 April 2022. Jadi kami berlima, ini Pak Afif, Pak Bagja, Pak Fris, dan Bu Dewi akan purna tugas di 11 April 2022 dan akan lanjutkan. Alhamdulillah yang lama masih ada satu lagi Pak Bagja, nanti bisa bergabung dengan yang 4 baru, Pak Tot, Bang Erwin, Bang Padi, Teh Loli. Mudah-mudahan 2001-2003 akan bisa dilanjutkan oleh mereka berlima ke depan. Terima kasih dan sampai ketemu bulan Oktober atau November tahun ini akan kembali di Bali mudah-mudahan. Terima kasih semuanya.
Mr. Afan just inform you that we, Ibu Ratna, myself, and Pak Afan and Pak Afif, we will finish our term next week on 11th of April, and our new friends, not new friends, our friends will become the new Bawaslu, and we do hope that we can continue the presidency of the global network until the end of our term, because we will finish our term as the president in the end of the 2023, and we do hope that we can continue, and also we have to that we hope that we can do our plenary assembly in October 9 to, if I'm not mistaken, it's 9 until 10 October that we're gonna do in Denpasar. So I think this is the end of our introduction and say hello. I think we have 15 minutes break until 11:15. So please take a break and be back at 11:15. Thank you very much. Iya, jam 11 itu. Tadi aku bilang 11:15. Ini yang salah. Itu yang salah.
Oh, ini udah boleh makan siang.